Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the KotLC Fanbase channel. My name is Joey and today I'm going to be ranking all of the KotLC books. We haven't done one of these videos since Stellarlune came out, so the big question today is how does Stellarlune rank up against the other KotLC books? And it's kind of a hard question because I thought that Stellarlune received a lot of mixed reviews, and that might have something to do with whether if they ship SoKey or SoFits, but also not really. So we're just gonna find out how the KotLC series looks, and also this list might have changed because I've also changed as a person. Who knows, maybe I think one book is better than the other. We're just going to update and see how I believe the KotLC books should be ranked. So if you're excited to see my picks for the best KotLC books, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and comment down below your favorite book from the KotLC series. As always, the link to take this same tier list will be in the description below if you're interested, and let's get straight into the video. So I have my tier list up right now. We can see I have all the books in order. Stellarlune isn't there, but I'll just add it in editing. It's gonna be last. I'm just gonna go in order. Don't worry, it'll be there. So first up, we have Keeper of the Lost Cities Book 1. As we all know, it is the first book in the series. It's pretty short compared to the rest of the books. In my personal opinion, I think this is a really good book. If you think about it, this has to be the one that hooks you into the series, because obviously you're not going to read all the other books no matter how good it gets if you don't like the first one. And another good point to bring up is that Shannon has rewrote this book probably like 60 times. I feel like she said in like an interview she's wrote a specific scene like 30 times, and this book got rejected 17 times from her publisher. So this means that hypothetically this is like Shannon Messenger's perfect work. This has been revised and rewritten so many times, and this is the best outcome. I'm putting this one in riveting, okay? I know this might be a hot take, but seriously, this is such a good read. It has a perfect like beginning, middle, and end cliffhanger ending, kind of. We don't know what the Black Swan is. We don't know who's good, who's bad. Overall, I love this book. Let's move on to Exile. So I was surprised to see that a lot of people didn't really enjoy Exile as much as I did. I personally really like it. We get to see Sylvanie, we get to see Sophie and Keith like get a bigger bond, but overall there's not like that much that happened, which is I guess that's why most people have it like in the middle of the rankings. I'm gonna put it at enjoyable for me. It's just always, it's so nostalgic to go back and read like the first two books. That might play a factor in my ranking, but I'm still sticking with that. So yeah, enjoyable. Next up is Everblaze. So with Everblaze, I feel like a lot of people forget about this book, but it's actually a pretty good book. It's also like just before the books get like long, like at this point I think they're like 400, maybe like 500 pages, which it's pretty long, but it's not that bad. And contrary to how the newer books have been, there is a lot of action in this book. There's a lot of action, especially packed into the end. It doesn't like stand out to me in the series like as a book that the only thing that stands out obviously is that Kenrick died and like Finton is like controlling Everblaze. So for me, I'm gonna have to put it in meh. Like it's good, but as I just said, there's nothing that stands out from it. Obviously from Exile, Sylvanie stands out. From Keeper of the Lost Cities, you get Sophie discovering the Elven world and getting kidnapped. That's what stands out. But yeah, Everblaze was kind of like already a recurring thing that's been happening in the first two books, and now it's just like the accumulation of it. But yeah, let's move on to Neverseen. Neverseen, it's a really good book. So many people like to put this as like their favorite. I don't think it's my favorite, but I think why so many people like Neverseen is that we get to like go away from Foxfire life, where instead of like settling into the norm, they go and run off and join the Black Swan, which is really fun to read about. I definitely agree with that. It's fun to meet the collective, to see like what being a Black Swan member could look like. They actually do, yeah, they get banished from Foxfire. We get to see Exile. Overall, a lot of things happen, and the ending is really cool where they flood Ravagog and we find out all about Alvar and that stuff. So it's an action-packed book. Again, just like Everblaze, it's very action-packed. This one is just enjoyable for me. It's a joy to read. I'm not gonna put it in riveting. I just don't know. I mean, also at the end, Keith runs off and joins the Neverseen. So that's something that happens in this book as well, that like, it's a cliffhanger, you know? Obviously Neverseen's a pretty big cliffhanger. Let's move on to Lodestar though. Lodestar is like a sleeper book. Like I'm gonna be honest, a lot of people sleep on Lodestar, but it's really cool. We get to see like Tam and Lynn get integrated a lot more. There's this big mystery with like these mirrors and how the Neverseen are kidnapping like Wiley. I think, how did they do this? How did they sneak into Foxfire? And we have a lot of interactions with Keith and the Neverseen. It's like, is he good? Is he bad? And the final scene, or the final thing that happens with like Luminaria falling down, believe it or not, that's actually like one of my favorite scenes in the series. I think it's so cool, like the foreshadowing where we have like Gethin saying, oh, I'm gonna stab you with the sword or in my cell or something. And also like, oh, I'm gonna bring this place down. I'm concentrating my mental energy. I can remember my first time reading it when I realized what was gonna happen, when he was just gonna tear the whole place down with his mind. I don't know, I just really love the climax of this book. Keith comes back. Obviously, Mr. Forkle does die, but a lot really does happen, and people just seem to forget about it. I'm putting this one in enjoyable. You guys can fight me, I don't know. I feel like I'm being very positive today, but let's move on to Nightfall. Nightfall, it's a pretty long book. A lot of stuff is spent just like researching. I remember they had this whole thing researching like where this like special, like where Nightfall could be. There's like, oh, there's one Nightfall, but then there's like another one. Sophie's parents get like kidnapped and Amy's there and stuff. I actually do like how Amy is there. I mean, it's just kind of like a gimmick thing, but I don't know. One of the things that stands out to me with Nightfall is that Dex gets rejected by Sophie's. They have their first kiss. That was such a random moment. Same with that. I can remember reading that for the first time. There's only a few scenes in this whole series that I like distinctly remember reading for the first time, and I can tell you I was in shock. Like, I never thought that was the direction that Shannon Messenger was going. But I'm also like proud of her for doing that so like early in the series, now that you think about it. But anyway, moving on from that, I do have to agree, Shannon Messenger knows how to do a climax. In all these books, there's always a final battle, there's always a final climax scene, and Nightfall is the same. There's a really good one, but I mean, the whole rest of the book, nothing really stands out. I'm gonna have to put this one in boring. I like Nightfall, but now that I'm like thinking back on it, it's pretty boring, except for the end. All right, let's move on to Flashback. Now, there is a special category for Flashback, but I'm just gonna tell you straight up, I'm not gonna put it in there. So Flashback is kind of a weird book. They introduced like this troll hives thing. I personally thought like the troll thing was like very random. A lot of people don't like it because of the Sophitz romance, and I can definitely see that. But I just mainly saw it as character development for both of them, and the whole vibe was off in this book, especially with Alvar there. Fitz was just like angry all the time. This is where he started his like angry meme and stuff. Obviously at the start of the book they get like attacked by the Neverseen. They get this shadow flux. We learn more about this random like shadow flux thing, and they spend, you know, it's not 400 pages, that's an exaggeration. I think it is like 200 though, which is a lot. It is a lot. I think it's like an 800 page book or something. So I will give it that. I'm gonna move it up to boring. I think last year it was in this for me, but I'm moving it up. Next up is Legacy. So Legacy, actually, a lot of things happen in Legacy. I wouldn't really call it action-packed, but we did learn a lot of new things. Obviously, we learned one of the biggest questions that we've been wondering throughout the whole series: who is Sophie's mother? We find out as Orlai, which is cool. And we also have this whole thing with Keith. This is where he like, Lady Zella puts her final plan into action, and they do this whole thing to Keith. And they're also like with the dwarves for some reason, like King Enki is like helping them. They also set up this like Team Valiant thing, which has never have been mentioned in Unlocked or Stellarlune at all. So I don't know what happened with Team Valiant. It's kind of just gone. So that was kind of random and unneeded and unnecessary in my opinion. Sophie and Fitz also kind of break up because he wouldn't tell her who her parents are. It's not bad. Like I liked reading Legacy when it came out. That book came out when we were like pretty popular at the time. Like Flashback came out, we only had a couple hundred subscribers, I think. But Legacy was like the next book. That's where we could cover it. So it was a really cool experience at that time. So that's cool at least. I'm gonna put it in meh. Also, you might see a small theme here. We have the first book, the second book, the fourth book, and the fifth book. The first half of the series is a lot more like higher ranked than some of the later books. And before we get into Unlocked and Stellarlune, I just kind of want to maybe talk why. I think that the start of the KotLC series is really fast paced. The books are less pages, so much more stuff is happening. We are introducing characters every book. Sophie's getting new abilities every book. But in the later books, it seems like instead of answering all of the questions that have been proposed in the earlier books, they're instead just like researching and finding little things in the start of the book, nothing really happens, and at the end there's just this huge battle with the Neverseen, which nothing really gets. Sometimes people die, sometimes things happen, like someone has to join the Neverseen or betray the Neverseen, like Glimmer did in Legacy. Like sometimes stuff happens, but it's rare that any side like actually comes back with like a big win or a big loss. I don't know, I feel like they've been just getting too long, too packed with random useless information. I feel like book 10, for it to be a really, really good book, it needs to answer so many questions while also giving the action. I feel like obviously we're gonna start in the middle of the action scene, which is gonna be cool, but hopefully, I don't know, we're just gonna have to see. So coming up with unlocked, this is really weird to rank because most of the book is just a guide, which I'm not gonna rank the guide. It was kind of cool. I don't really remember any of it, but the actual plot, like we see Keith run away and that's kind of it. I'm just putting it in boring. I don't even know. I'm just gonna put it in meh. Actually, no, I'm putting it in boring just because like we waited all that time just for a couple hundred pages. It was a little bit underwhelming and like, yeah, no, I don't know. It was, I don't know, dude. All right, now for Stellarlune, I don't have a picture, but just pretend it's there. So Stellarlune, this is where it gets interesting. I feel like you could go so many different ways with this, but I think overall in Stellarlune, we got what the fans have been wanting since book 1. And I'm not talking about like Sophie's parents or not, I'm talking about ships. So many people say that the series is secretly just a romance novel. Well, they've given your answer. We have Keith. It's not like 100% set in stone, obviously. Keith could die for all we know. I don't want to like say that out loud, but you know what I'm talking about. We don't know what Shannon could do, but still, we got what we wanted. We got our Keith kit. So that, like immediately for me, I'm biased, that's gonna bump up the rating. But the first part of the book was not that interesting to read through, especially the caches. We only got like a little bit of useful information about like Finton and the Nox flares. I did like the mystery aspect of finding Elysian and all that stuff and teaming up with like Trix and Vespera. I thought that was actually cool, like working with the Neverseen to like defeat Lady Zilla. The second half of this book is really, really good. Once Keith comes back, the whole book gets rolling. We visit Elysian. Yeah, so that just makes it hard to rank. It actually wasn't that long. It was only 700 something pages, which I really am grateful for that. But yeah, I think I'm putting Stellarlune in enjoyable, which actually makes the first book the only one in riveting. That's actually kind of crazy. But I'm also, as I said before, I'm sticking by that. That also means that I put Stellarlune in my top 5. If I think I had to do a top 5, it would probably be book 1, Neverseen, Exile, Lodestar, and then Stellarlune, I guess. And then probably the rest of the order. Yeah, I actually like this ranking. I'm pretty satisfied with it. I don't know if this is a long video or not, but I feel like I got what I wanted to say through. If you guys enjoyed it, leave a comment down below and tell me how you thought of my rankings. Do you like it? Do you disagree with it? Let me know, I wanna see. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like. But that's gonna be it for me. I had a lot of fun making this video. I hope you had fun watching it, and I'll see you guys next week.